Hi, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing some baking. I have the solution to your problem if you are a sourdough baker and you find yourself with a lot of sourdough discard and you're wondering what to do with it. If you're not familiar with sourdough baking, you have to continuously feed your sourdough starter with additional flour and water to keep it in a form that's ready to bake with. But when you do that, you have to discard some of what you already have in there, or else you'll end up with like gallons of sourdough starter, which most people do not need that much. So every time you feed it, you're dumping out a portion of what's already in your container. So here is mine. Right now it's not fed, it's kind of going flat. It hasn't been fed since last night, I guess. Yeah, last night. So when I go to feed it tonight, I'll pour out a whole bunch of it until there's just like this much left in here. Feed it, because if I just keep feeding, then obviously I'm gonna run out of space in this jar. So you can just throw it away, which I do quite often. But I always like to find different recipes to kind of implement some of the discard in, just so it doesn't feel as wasteful. And, why not? I have it. Something I make often is like sourdough discard crackers, which are super easy. A lot of people make pancakes or waffles out of it. You can add it into a lot of different things, but I was searching around and I came across this recipe for sourdough Pop-Tarts. And this solves another problem. Who doesn't love Pop-Tarts? Pop-Tarts. They're so good. I used to have them all the time when I was a little child, but I will no longer buy them because they are full of crap. Dyes, artificial preservatives, just so much sugar, all the things that I try to avoid. So I'm going to be making Pop-Tarts with the sourdough discard in the crust. So I'm very excited, and I am going to be using some of my homemade strawberry jam as my filling. You can use whatever type of filling you want. I really like strawberry. That's like the iconic flavor for me, and I happen to have a whole bunch of strawberry jam. So I'm gonna go with that. So what we're first gonna do is make the crust, and then it needs to chill for at least an hour. So the ingredients of the crust, this makes 4 Pop-Tarts. So it's gonna be 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of flour. I'm just using all-purpose flour. 8 tablespoons of cold butter, a half a teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar, a half a cup of your sourdough discard, and 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. So we're gonna get the crust all made, and I'll put it in the refrigerator for an hour, and then we'll come back and continue on. It's quite simple. Basically, you just make the dough, chill it, then you're gonna roll it out into a big rectangle, cut it out into your strips to form your Pop-Tarts with. Put your filling in, seal it with some egg wash, make the little iconic, with the tines of a fork on the sides to seal it, bake them, and then, if you'd like, which I am going to do, make a simple glaze with powdered sugar and water. And then if you wanna, go for the whole shebang here, you can top that with some sprinkles or some coarse sugar, and you got your homemade Pop-Tarts. So very, very simple. So let's see if we can get this pie crust together here. I've actually never made a pie crust using sourdough discard before, so we'll see how it all comes together. I'm really excited, and if it works well, then I foresee being able to use this for many other things. I could make, apple pie, ham pies, and lots of other stuff. I think utilizing this basic crust recipe. So let's get started. All right, so I got a medium-ish size bowl here. So I'm gonna add my 1 cup of flour, and then the 1 tablespoon. So it was 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of flour. And then I'm going to do the sugar It is 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm just using organic cane sugar. You can use whatever sugar you like to bake with. And we're going to add salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I got my Redmond's Real Sea Salt here that I like to use. So I'm going to whisk that together. Just gonna use a fork here. Just get that kind of incorporated. And then I have 8 tablespoons of butter that I've cubed up into small cubes, and I'm gonna cut that in. It's important to use very cold butter, so I cubed it and then I put it back in the fridge in the dish. And I have a pastry cutter. If you do not have one of these, you can, some people use like 2 forks and do it like that. But you can get one of these pastry cutters for, you know, not too much money, but you can just use did I say 2 forks? I mean 2 knives. Or you could use, if you have like one of these guys, you could use that and kind of cut it in. And you're gonna do this until there's large crumbles. And if the butter's too soft, it all just kind of squishes. So that's why you want to make sure it's cold butter. Some people do, instead of cutting the butter up into cubes, they'll, with a very, very cold stick of butter, they'll use a cheese grater and grate it in with a cheese grater. That always just, I don't know. I've tried it before and it just seemed like a lot of work to me. So it's just, I guess, you know, your preference, whatever works for you. At this stage, typically with like a traditional pie crust, you would now start adding in your ice cold water. But we are going to add in sourdough discard. And the vinegar helps make it flaky. That is the role of the vinegar. That is why that is in here. All right, I think that's good. Make sure all the butter's out of here. We want to keep all that in our crust. So nice chunks of butter in here. Okay. So we're going to use 1/2 cup of the discard. I lost my measuring cups. Here they are. Whoa. This is my favorite tool for working with my discard. It's really good at getting in the sides of the jar, pushing it all back down in there so it doesn't dry like way up on the sides, which it does a little eventually anyways, but this is really nice for mixing up this starter with. I think it's called a spurtle. I got it on Etsy. I think if you just like look up like wooden sourdough stir, it'll come up. I really like it. It's a really good size and shape for working with that. All right, and then we're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of the vinegar. I only have this ginormous jug of white vinegar from pickle making and such. All right, now I'm gonna use my fork and I'm just gonna try to get this all worked together here a bit. As you know, sourdough discard is very sticky. So we're gonna try to get this to come together. And we may end up needing to add in a little bit of water. Not all discards are the same. Some people keep them thicker. Mine does tend to be a little thick. I like it on the thick side. So I might need to end up adding some water, but we'll see here. So I'm just gonna try to see how it goes together with my hands now. If it starts to form a dough or not. You don't want the butter to melt. You do want to keep the chunks of the butter, so you want to work it as minimally as possible. But of course, we need to have like a cohesive dough here. I'm trying to just use the tips of my fingers and not like get my palms of my hands in here to really get it melted. So this is coming together pretty good. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna get a piece of plastic wrap. Put this to the side for a second. Get my plastic wrap. Holy cow. All the dough onto the plastic wrap, and I'm gonna scrunch it, press it down, scrunch it, press it down into a rectangle-ish shape. This kind of rectangle. Put this over, seal this up, and then I'm going to take my rolling pin and just get it a little bit more even here in the plastic wrap. This isn't, we're gonna roll it out again after it's chilled, so this is just to kind of get it a little more together and cohesive. In the little edges here so they're nice. All right, so now I'm gonna take this, pop it in the fridge for an hour, and then we will come back and continue. All right, so the dough has been chilling for about an hour. Got it here. I got my little mat that I'm gonna roll it out on. I'm gonna just put some flour down. I also have the oven heating up to 350, and I've lined a baking sheet with parchment paper. And I have some egg wash ready to go, just an egg beaten. I have my filling, which is my strawberry jam. All right, we'll see how this goes. Got my rolling pin here. Put a little flour on top. And we're supposed to roll this out until it's an 1/8 of an inch thick into a rectangle. We can still see some chunks of butter in here, which is good. If it starts to break a little, we can just kind of seal it back together here. it starts to stick, just put a little bit more flour. Patch my little hole over here, try to. Oh, it's getting all crazy here. Now it's getting all crazy. All right, I'm just gonna take, I have a pizza cutter, gonna kind of try to even it out a little. So, all right, I'm supposed to make 4, so I'm gonna do it down the middle and then I'll do those in half. Try to do it straight. Oven's preheated. Okay, not perfectly even, but pretty good. Good enough anyways. So now we're gonna take whatever you're using for jam for your filling. You don't wanna overfill it. Just like if you ever stuffed like ravioli or something. So we're gonna put it on 1/2 and try to not touch the, you know, the outer edge, because that's what we're gonna use to seal. I'm actually gonna move these away from each other a little. There we go. So it's a fatty. This one will be mine. All right, so I'm just gonna even that a little. All right, so now I got my egg wash and I'm just going to go along the edge. These are gonna look very homemade. Like most of my baked things do, but they usually taste good, and that is the most important part. I'd rather it taste good and look a mess than the, you know, than it not look great. Or wait, yeah. I'd rather it taste good and look a mess than it look beautiful and not taste good. I'm not on British Bake Off here, which there's a new season out for anyone who's a fan. There's 2 episodes out so far. It's on Fridays on Netflix. I don't have my favorite yet. My favorite contestant, that is. And there's a new host with the guy Noel. There's someone with him. All right, so now we're just gonna flop this over to form this I think could use a little more filling. That's a little cheapy. is like long. This one's a long guy. Oh, this one's breaking a little. Sticking. Uh-oh. All right. And now I'm gonna take a clean fork and seal it. Be careful and not poke any holes. And if it's not sealed well, the filling will likely leak out. So you want to try to make sure you get a good seal. This one's a little questionable over here. The filling leaked in. Yeah, this is my, maybe this will be the one I eat. So leave the others for Luke. Usually I have a little paintbrush thingy for this, but it is dirty. So I'm just gonna put a little egg wash all over now so we get nice and browned. Nice and golden brown on the pastry itself. And if this was like an apple pie, I would sprinkle like coarse sugar on it, but I'm gonna put a glaze, so I'm not worried about doing that at this stage. Once these are all cooked and cooled, I'm gonna make a glaze to put on. Yeah, this one's the showstopper. I think this one on the end here, even though it's a square, not a rectangle. All right, I think that's good enough. So now I'm going to get them, hopefully, onto the baking tray. Apparently I wasn't generous enough with the flour. Sticking a little. All right, so here's my little guys. I'm gonna put them in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. Hopefully all my filling doesn't leak out, but that's what the parchment paper is for, so my pan doesn't get all ruined. So we'll check back after they're done baking. All right, so I'm gonna let them cool for a couple minutes and then I'll put them on a wire rack and we can glaze them. They came out pretty good. A little leakage, a little bit of leakage, but that's okay. All right, so my little Pop-Tarts have cooled, or they're cooling, they're on the wire rack, but I can glaze them now. So I just took some powdered sugar and a little bit of water and made a glaze for them. So I'm just gonna put like a light, not, not a ton, but a little, we want it to look kind of like a Pop-Tart. That's what we're trying to make here. And I put wax paper or whatever it is, parchment paper underneath to get my little drips. And I wish I had like cute rainbow sprinkles, but I don't. But I do have some silver sprinkles, so I'll just use those just so it's something. Oops. Could also use like coarse sugar. Could also put food coloring in the frosting if you wanted. I don't like to use a lot of food colorings. I know you can get like all natural ones, but I don't have any. That might be cute if you had like pink. I maybe could have crushed up some dehydrated or freeze-dried berries and colored it with that. Maybe I'll try that next time. And again, very homemade. I'm definitely not winning any British Bake-Offs here, but that's all right. As long as you have fun. I like baking and cooking. It's just fun. All right, so I got some little sprinkles. These aren't really healthy either, but oh well. They're a lot healthier than an actual Pop-Tart, I'll tell you that, and I bet they taste a lot better. So here we go, my cutie little Pop-Tarts. So I'll just let them kind of set up on here, and then we'll do a little taste test. I'll probably eat this one. I don't know, we'll see. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so here are little cuties. They came out, they look nice. Very homemade, but they came out cute. So let's taste one. I guess I'll have the little skinny guy here. Let's see. Pretty good. It is nice and flaky. You can't really see. That was my cat BB. She's very loud. That's really good. Very good, actually. I'm excited for these to make different flavors and to make many more over the winter. So I would definitely give them a try. I'm going to just recap the recipe kind of quickly. And the steps that we did. Very, very simple. All right, so the crust was 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon. This made 4 Pop-Tarts. So again, the crust was 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of flour, 8 tablespoons of cold butter cut into cubes, a half a teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons sugar, half a cup of sourdough discard, and 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. We whisked the dry ingredients together, cut in the butter, rolled it in some parchment paper. Then I rolled it out into a rectangle, 1/8 of an inch thick. I did refrigerate it for an hour prior to doing the final roll out. Cut it into 4 strips. Preheated the oven to 350. I lined a baking sheet with parchment paper. Added my filling to 1/2 of my rectangle strip. Put an egg wash on the ends to seal it. Flapped the dough over itself. Sealed the edges with the tines of a fork. Put an egg wash. Baked it at 350 for 25 to 30 minutes. Let it cool, and I put my powdered sugar glaze and some sprinkles. And voila, we got this little cutie guy. My little bite marks. So yeah, I hope you try these. I'll probably make blueberry next. Apple would be nice for fall. So good little treat to have. Be fun to do with kids because it was pretty easy. Good way to use up your sourdough discard, so you're not just throwing it away. And like, how many crackers can we make? And I'm not making pancakes every day. Like, let's get real. So yeah, it was definitely worth a try, and I hope you guys try it. Let me know if you make it, if you enjoyed, how it turned out for you, what flavors you're doing, any different ideas that you have. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all next time. If you did enjoy my video, if you could please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, that would be really awesome. You can also find me on Instagram at Mrs. White Homemade Life if you want to follow me elsewhere. Also, I do co-host a podcast, Figuring Out Homestead Life, which you can listen to on anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. And we're on Instagram as well. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you enjoy your Pop-Tarts.